Are all babies born with blue eyes?
No idea, but I was born with golden eyes.
Oh, AumSum. Our eyes consist of the pupil, iris, and sclera. Pupil is black in color, while sclera is white. When we say eye color, we are referring to the color of the iris. Our body consists of special cells called melanocytes. Melanocytes secrete a natural pigment called melanin. Melanin gives our eyes its color. Babies before being born spend several months in almost complete darkness. Now, in many babies, melanocytes secrete melanin without the need for light. In these cases, the babies have brown eyes at birth. But in some babies, melanocytes require light to trigger melanin production in the iris. Now, as these babies have spent the last several months in almost complete darkness, there hasn't been much melanin production, hence their eyes look blue. Why do only humans have chins?
Good question. I will think it over.
Oh, AumSum. There are a number of hypotheses. Firstly, it is believed that chins exist to help us chew food, as in they help relieve our jaws from the stress that they encounter while chewing food. Secondly, it is believed that chins exist to help us speak, as in our tongues may be putting a lot of stress on our jaws while speaking. Now the chin may be acting as a reinforcing bone which resists that pressure. Thirdly, it is believed that chins exist to help us attract mates. They may serve a purpose similar to that of a peacock's tail. Lastly, according to one theory, chins are basically remnants of the shrinking process. Our ancestors had bigger faces. We evolved into smaller ones. Chins are still gradually shrinking. Why does our nose hair grow long and thick?
I don't have a nose, so I have no idea.
Oh, AumSum. Our nose hair actually acts as a natural air filter. It is covered with a thin layer of mucus. Now, when we breathe through our nostrils, dust, pollen, as well as other particles stick to our hair and are blocked from reaching our lungs. This airborne debris eventually ends up stuck in the mucus present inside our nose. This debris may end up being blown out into a tissue or by our sneeze. Now, the reason why our nose hair grows long and thick is related to aging. Aging leads to a number of changes in our body, including changes to our nose hair. It is part of a process called anagen sensitivity, as in long-term exposure to hormones. Hence, our nose hair grows long and thick. What is our skin made up of?
Simple. It is made up of gold.
Oh, AumSum. Epidermis, the top layer of our skin, protects us from germs, infections, as well as from sun and rain. It makes new skin cells and replaces them with old ones. Also, it contains melanin, the pigment which gives our skin its color. Dermis, the middle layer, makes up 90% of our skin's thickness and is responsible for producing sweat. Collagen and elastin present in dermis make our skin strong and flexible, while oil glands keep our skin soft and smooth. Finally, nerve receptors in the dermis tell us if something is too hot or cold. Hypodermis, or fatty layer, is the bottommost layer. It protects our bones and muscles from injuries during a fall. It is also responsible for regulating our body temperature, thus keeping us from getting too cold or too hot. How do our muscles grow?
No idea. My muscles are already big.
Oh, AumSum. Firstly, for muscle growth, we need to apply stress which is greater than what our muscles are used to. For example, while exercising, we need to progressively lift heavier weights. This leads to mTOR and satellite cell activation. Both are responsible for muscle growth. Secondly, when one feels sore after a workout, one may be experiencing localized muscle damage. Muscle damage leads to the release of inflammatory molecules and immune cells, which in turn activate satellite cells. Satellite cells are said to be responsible for muscle growth. Lastly, pump training, as in doing repetitions at a fast speed with short rest intervals, causes metabolic stress. Metabolic stress causes cell swelling around the muscles. This gives people an appearance of larger muscles without increase in strength. Also, rest, hormones, and nutrition play an important role in muscle growth. What is Alzheimer's disease?
No idea. I hope there is nothing called as AumSum's disease.
Oh, AumSum. Alzheimer's is a brain disease that causes problems with memory, thinking, and behavior. The greatest known risk factor for Alzheimer's is increasing age. Majority of people with Alzheimer's are 65 and older. Alzheimer's is a progressive disease. In early stages, memory loss is mild, but with time, people also start losing the ability to carry on a simple conversation. Alzheimer's currently has no cure. Some treatments exist, which give temporary relief in the early stages of the disease. The most common early symptom of Alzheimer's is difficulty in remembering newly learned information. Scientists believe that Alzheimer's disease damages the ability of the cells in our brain to function properly. Over time, the damage spreads, causing irreversible changes in our brain. Why does coffee make you poop?
No idea, but I just had a cup of coffee.
Oh, AumSum. Firstly, the lining of our stomach makes a hormone called gastrin. When we drink coffee, it sends a signal to our stomach to release gastrin. As a result, peristalsis, as in a series of muscle contractions, start taking place in our gut. These contractions start moving food as well as liquid through our intestines. Hence, some people may have to visit a bathroom after drinking coffee. Secondly, when we eat or drink, gastrocolic reflex helps move solids as well as liquids through our intestines, thus helping our body get rid of unwanted things. Now, this gastrocolic reflex is naturally active in the mornings. Hence, a cup of coffee in the morning is more likely to make us poop as compared to having a coffee at other times. What causes altitude sickness?
No idea, but I have no problem with heights.
Oh, AumSum. We can develop altitude sickness if we climb rapidly. Our body is not able to adjust to reduced oxygen as well as changes in air pressure. Altitude sickness typically occurs above 2,500 meters. Its mildest form is called as acute mountain sickness, or AMS, with symptoms such as headaches, tiredness, dizziness, etc. As per a study, AMS occurs in about 20% people after scaling 2,500 meters rapidly, and about 40% people after scaling 3,000 meters rapidly. AMS can progress to high-altitude pulmonary edema, as in buildup of too much fluid in the lungs, making it difficult to breathe. AMS can also progress to high-altitude cerebral edema, as in swelling of the brain. The best way of preventing altitude sickness is to increase elevation by no more than 300 meters per day. Why do we soak almonds before eating them?
No idea, but I soak my burger before eating it.
Oh, AumSum. There are 3 reasons why people soak almonds before eating them. Firstly, almonds have a hard and tough texture, thus making them a little difficult to digest. Now, when we soak almonds, it softens them, thus making it easier for our body to break them down. Secondly, as soaking makes almonds softer, it is easier to chew them into smaller pieces. As a result, more nutrients are released from the almonds. Thus, more nutrients are absorbed by our body. Lastly, soaking affects the taste as well as the texture of the almonds. Raw almonds are hard with a slightly bitter flavor. When they are soaked, they become softer, less bitter, as well as more buttery tasting. Hence, some people soak almonds before eating them. How are butterflies' wings so colorful?
No big deal. Even AumSum's hair are colorful.
Oh, AumSum. Butterflies' wings get their colors from two sources. Firstly, pigment color. This color comes from chemical pigments such as melanin, which absorbs certain wavelengths of light while reflecting others. Melanin is also responsible for the color of our skin. Secondly, structural color due to iridescence in butterflies' wings. Butterflies' wings are made up of thousands of transparent microscopic scales. Also, each scale has multiple layers separated by air. Hence, when light passes through these scales, it is reflected multiple times. These reflections compound one another and intensify the colors. Now, depending upon from where we are viewing, the light enters the wings at different angles. Hence, we might see blue, green, yellow, or a combination of the above three colors. How was the asteroid belt formed?
No idea. But this is how the AumSum belt is formed.
Oh, AumSum. About 4.5 billion years ago, our sun was formed from a huge cloud of gas and dust. The leftover cloud of gas and dust started spinning around the sun. These bits begin to collide and stick together. Slowly, they converted into pebbles, then into rocks, boulders, small almost planets, and then finally our planets. The solar system was formed in this fashion, but still small bits of rock were left over. Some were very small while some were many kilometers long. These are called as asteroids. Most of these asteroids got pulled by Jupiter's huge gravitational pull and eventually formed an asteroid belt between Jupiter and Mars. What is monkeypox?
Let me check.
Oh, AumSum. Monkeypox is a disease caused by infection with the monkeypox virus. Monkeypox was discovered in 1958 when an outbreak of pox-like disease occurred in colonies of monkeys kept for research. Though it is named monkeypox, the source of the disease is unknown. African rodents and non-human primates like monkeys might harbor the virus and infect people. The first human case of monkeypox was recorded in 1970. Monkeypox virus is part of the same family of viruses as variola virus, the virus that causes smallpox. Its symptoms are similar to smallpox, but milder. Symptoms of monkeypox may include fever, headache, muscle aches, backache, chills, exhaustion, and a rash that looks like pimples or bristles. Also, monkeypox is rarely fatal. What is claustrophobia?
What? I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Oh, AumSum. Claustrophobia is an anxiety disorder. It is an intense fear of confined or enclosed spaces. It is said that, with phobias, the level of our fear doesn't match the actual danger presented by the feared object or situation. Doctors diagnose our anxiety as a phobia when it starts interfering with our ability to live a normal life. Symptoms of claustrophobia may include shortness of breath, faster heartbeat, sweating, etc. Some researchers believe that a defect in one of our genes may be the cause of our claustrophobia. It is also believed that if one of our parents has claustrophobia, then we are more likely to have it. Finally, it is also believed that our fear of enclosed spaces may be stemming from a traumatic childhood event like being stuck in an elevator, etc. How will we sound on Mars?
No idea about you, but AumSum will always sound like AumSum.
Oh, AumSum. How we sound on Mars depends on three things. Firstly, because of the cold Martian atmosphere, sound travels at a lower speed on Mars as compared to that on Earth. Hence, it takes slightly longer for the sound to reach our ears. Secondly, the Martian atmosphere is about 100 times less dense as compared to that of Earth. This affects the way sound waves travel from one point to the other. Hence, the volume of sound heard on Mars is automatically lower. Lastly, the Martian atmosphere is made up of around 96% carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide absorbs a lot of higher-pitched sounds. As a result, only lower-pitched sounds can travel long distances on Mars. How can some birds fly so high?
Simple. I send them high using my remote control.
Oh, AumSum. According to research, birds with a longer wingspan relative to their bodies tend to fly higher as longer wingspans help birds generate better lifts. According to another study, unlike humans, high-flying bar-headed geese do not feel ill at high altitudes. At high altitudes, they tend to breathe rapidly, as in they hyperventilate to increase their oxygen intake. If we humans were to breathe rapidly, then our blood would become more alkaline, in turn affecting the blood circulation to our brain, making us feel dizzy. But as geese are more tolerant to alkaline conditions, it does not affect their blood supply. Finally, it was found out that hemoglobin in geese's blood has high affinity for oxygen binding, thus helping maximize their oxygen intake. Hence, some birds are able to fly so high. Why doesn't the Leaning Tower of Pisa fall?
Simple. Because the great AumSum is holding it.
Oh, AumSum. According to one theory, any object that stands on its base will keep on standing until the line drawn from its center of gravity to the ground falls within its base. In the case of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, its center of gravity has been carefully kept within its base. According to another theory, it is because of a phenomenon known as dynamic soil structure interaction. Here, it is believed that the soil softness, which was actually responsible for the tower leaning in the first place, combined with the tower's height and stiffness, may have protected the tower during earthquakes. As a result, the tower does not vibrate during tremors. Thus, the tower remains safe. Where does gold come from?
Simple. From AumSum's pockets.
Oh, AumSum. Huge amount of energy is required to make gold. Such an amount of energy is produced only when a supernova occurs, as in when stars explode or when neutron stars collide with each other. During such events, heavy elements such as gold are formed via the rapid neutron capture process. Now, when the Earth was getting formed, gold, along with other heavy elements, sank towards the Earth's core. Then how do we find gold in the Earth's crust? This is because it is believed that around 4 billion years ago, a huge number of asteroids collided with planet Earth. As a result, the Earth's core got stirred and forced some of the gold into the Earth's mantle as well as crust. Why do cities have so many pigeons?
Simple. They have come to see AumSum.
Oh, AumSum. Pigeons, as we know today, are said to have descended from a wild creature known as the rock dove. It is believed that about 10,000 years ago, people began domesticating as well as breeding rock doves primarily for food. Over time, people realized that pigeons had excellent navigational skills. Pigeons started being used to guide lost ships towards land as well as to carry messages over long distances. Eventually, instead of looking at pigeons as a food source, people started breeding them as a hobby. Also, pigeons are natural cliff dwellers. Now, tall buildings in cities mimic cliffs, whereas windowsills and air conditioning units mimic the crevices found on the sides of the cliffs. Hence, pigeons are pretty comfortable living in cities. What is Ramsay-Hunt syndrome?
Don't worry. AumSum the detective will figure it out.
Oh, AumSum. As a child, if we have had chickenpox, then it was caused by the varicella zoster virus. The same virus can remain dormant or inactive in our nerves for years. Now, when the varicella zoster virus reactivates, we are said to have shingles. Also, the reactivation of the varicella zoster virus in the facial nerves near our ears is called Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. It is said to affect 5 out of 100,000 people each year in the US. It is named after an American Army officer and neurologist who first described it in 1907. Ramsay-Hunt syndrome can cause facial nerve paralysis as well as hearing loss in the affected ear. It may also cause painful rash near our ears, face, or mouth. Why does time slow down near a black hole?
Simple, because AumSum slows it down.
Oh, AumSum. The answer is related to gravity. In simple terms, gravity is the attractive force with which two objects pull each other. According to the theory of general relativity, time slows down near a black hole due to a phenomenon called gravitational time dilation. This is the effect a gravitational field has on the passing of time around it. Now, as a black hole has a very strong gravitational field, a clock near it will tick slower as compared to a clock which is far away from the black hole. Hence, a person near a black hole will age slower compared to someone far away from the black hole. Why do we fear snakes?
No, snakes are afraid of me.
Oh, AumSum. It has been widely believed that our fear of snakes has evolved in us through our common ancestors. Multiple studies have been conducted on adults, children, as well as monkeys. Some had seen a snake before, while some had never. It was still found out that all of them were able to recognize snakes much faster as compared to other objects. In another experiment, scientists examined the pulvinar region of the brain of 2 macaque monkeys. These monkeys were shown pictures of snakes, monkeys, geometric shapes, etc. As per the research, almost all neurons located in the pulvinar region fired when images of snakes were shown, while these neurons remained quiet when other pictures were shown. Thus, neuron firing in the pulvinar region of our brains may be the reason why we fear snakes. What makes Formula 1 cars so fast?
Simple. AumSum the genius mechanic.
Oh, AumSum. F1 cars are fast as they use aerodynamics to go very fast in corners. In F1 cars, aerodynamics is mainly used to generate downforce. Downforce is a force which pushes the F1 cars harder into the ground. As a result, the tires get more grip, hence they're able to go very fast in corners. F1 car's front wing generates about 40% of the car's downforce. Let us see how. As the front wing is designed upside down, faster air flows under the wing while slower air flows above the wing. The slower air generates pressure and pushes the F1 car towards the faster moving air. As a result, this downforce grounds the car as compared to letting it lift off. Hence, F1 cars are able to go very fast in corners. What is a Bitcoin?
Forget Bitcoin. AumSum coin is amazing.
Oh, AumSum. Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency which was invented in 2008 by an unknown person using the name Satoshi Nakamoto. BTC is the most commonly used currency code used to represent Bitcoin. The Bitcoin blockchain is a public ledger which keeps record of all the Bitcoin transactions. In this blockchain, Bitcoins are not registered to people but to Bitcoin addresses. Bitcoin addresses can be made public, but the private key associated with them must be kept a secret. Private key is needed to spend or transfer the Bitcoins. If it is revealed, then a third person can steal the Bitcoins associated with that address. Also, if the private key is lost, even the Bitcoins will be lost as the Bitcoin network does not recognize any other proof. Currently, around 20% of the Bitcoins are believed to be lost. How do animals know when to migrate?
Simple. They call and ask me.
Oh, AumSum. Firstly, some animals decide when to migrate by measuring the length of the day. Depending on whether the days are getting longer or shorter, animals are able to figure out which season is approaching and make a migration decision based on that. Secondly, some animals decide when to migrate by sensing the temperature around them. Depending on the prevailing temperatures, they are able to guess the incoming season and make a migration decision based on that. Lastly, some animals decide when to migrate depending upon the availability of food in that area. If there is scarcity of food, they may decide to migrate to a place with abundant food supply. How was the moon formed?
Simple. This is how the moon was formed. Voila!
Oh, AumSum. Scientists are not exactly sure how the moon formed. The three most popular theories are as follows. According to the giant impact theory, Theia, a Mars-sized body, collided with Earth. This collision threw chunks of Theia as well as vaporized chunks of Earth's crust into space. Now gravity bound these ejected chunks and led to the formation of our moon. According to the co-formation theory, two similar-sized bodies collided twice, forming an early Earth surrounded by a disk of material that then combined to form the moon. According to the capture theory, the moon was already formed. It was just snapped by the Earth's gravity while it was passing by. Why do bees buzz?
They don't buzz. I keep on shaking them.
Oh, AumSum. Firstly, the wings of some species of bees flap very rapidly. These wing beats create vibrations in the wind near them. When these vibrations reach our ears, we hear a buzz. This is one reason why bees buzz. Secondly, when bumblebees visit a flower, they vibrate their wing muscles as well as the middle segment of their body, as in their thorax. These vibrations cause pollen to fall off from the flower onto the bumblebee's body. This fallen pollen is used in two ways. Firstly, some of it falls off on other flowers, which in turn results in pollination. Secondly, bumblebees keep some of the pollen inside the pollen-carrying structures located on their hind legs. They then take the pollen back to their nest in order to feed the larvae. Why were zebras never domesticated?
No big deal. AumSum will domesticate them.
Oh, AumSum. Zebras have never been domesticated because, firstly, zebras are known to have one of the strongest kicks in the animal kingdom. They're known to have knocked down lions with it. Secondly, zebras are known to have an extremely powerful bite. Some wild animals might get scared of approaching a zebra when it is angry, leave alone humans. Thirdly, as compared to horses, it is extremely difficult to capture a zebra using a lasso, as zebras have a very efficient built-in ducking reflex. Lastly, horses have a strong family structure. If the head of the family is captured, then the rest of the family follows him. The same is not the case with a zebra.